Hello everybody and welcome to the final round of the Player One SimGear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated this season. It is time for the 1 hour finale. No extra points available, but 15 extra minutes of racing for us tonight. With myself, Ewan, and Alex Goldschmidt taking you through the action. Jim Cunningham behind the cameras again, as he has been for this season. Good to be back alongside you for this one, Alex. One final race to decide the champion, and since we were last commentating together, it's really when the championship turned at Fuji, when the championship leader Mark Hilly had his worst race of the season by some way, and in the end. The second race anyway was the worst he's had this season. In the end, that hasn't become his drop week, because the week after at Bathurst he also struggled. Very much feels like that race 2 weeks ago was a bit of a turning point in this season, and it remains to be seen whether it's such a turning point that Jackson Rihanna is going to overturn what is a 47-point disadvantage going into this final race of the season.
Yes, Ewan, great to be alongside you once again. And what's more, folks, we're at the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone, for the 60-minute finale. I think that, as you said, that race day for Mr. Hilly was one that he will very much sort of like say, well, it could have gone so differently, but then he would have been a runaway leader. But the thing is, there is still an opportunity for Jackson Rihanna to close that gap, and we've been given all the information behind the scenes. Of course, you know, there's gonna be a fuel cap of 59%, but here is the championship standings as they are at the moment, with a very, very interesting cut line there as well, Ewan.
Yeah, that's the Australian Open Nationals cut line that we started to sort of introduce a little bit last week. Not least because it's so hard to work out who's going to be there by the end of the season. But I'll just run through that in a moment. As you can see, though, at the top of the standings, 47 points between Hilly and Rihanna. They're the only two who can win the title here tonight, because Harrison Dusk is third. Jumped right up to third, actually. He's 114 points back. But the battle for third itself is going to be very, very exciting. We've also got involved in that Craig Edwards, Thomas Hinz, Danny Davison, Dylan De Bono, Tom Donoghue and Alex Stevens. Would you believe it? Third place is a possibility for our silver champion in waiting. It's 91 points, rather, the advantage for him. And that means that Marcus Knitska effectively needs to win this race, in all reality, to actually take the title here today. The battle for second, and Tristan McLaren can also mathematically win it as well, although he definitely needs to win. Then overall, that is. Then you've got the battle for third place, which is going to be very exciting as well in silver. Douglas Gowans at second and third place, of course. Douglas Gowans involved in that. Darren Fahey as well. Jay Dixon will be there. Will Ryan and Jason Madden all able to get into second or third at the end of the day, although not for Madden, actually. He can only finish third. But either way, there's a lot open in the silver class. And for all of those guys, actually right the way down to Will Ryan, who's in 22nd at the moment, the possibility that they can get in the top 13 is alive tonight, and that would get them a place in the Australian Open Wheel Nationals, which, as I'll remind you, is a bringing together of the top 13 drivers from 3 different leagues, ours, of course, being one of them, for a showdown between the 3 of the leagues. It's held at the end of the regular season, so I think it's sometime in September this season, because our new season starts in October, early October. So it happens 4 times a year. It's a best of the best race where drivers are competing for glory themselves, but also for their league as well. The FDL, of course, being represented as one of the 3 leagues. Each position matters, not only the individual who wins. That will take place, as I say, at the end of the regular season here. So the top 13 will all be there. And there, at the moment, is only going to be 1 crossover driver. So it looks like there won't be too much crossover at all, which is good for that event at the end of the season. Of course, big talking points at the start of here today. Not only the ones we've already gone through with the gold and silver championships, some more admin, I guess, or some housekeeping, I should say, to get us through just before we get underway properly. Formula Ford recruitment series will be starting from the 2nd of September. That's a week today, so there's no rest really for those wanting to get into the next FDL SFL season, Super Formula Light season. That will start from early October. We can now let you know. Don't think we have an exact date for that, or indeed a calendar, but we do have a rough start. Let's get into the qualifying session then, shall we? And immediately, the bottom of the screen, Harrison Dusky is going to be starting from the pit lane with a qualifying impeding penalty. Now, he at the moment is, where is he? Quite a long way down, 21st. Yeah, so not going to affect him too much, and he might as well just pull it in pit lane now and just end the session there. But at the front, it matters far more for the likes of Mark Healy. He very much looks like he's come back with a vengeance, and he's currently got the best time in this qualifying session.
Yeah, closest competitor Jackson Rehana currently 9th at the moment, a quarter of a second behind. This qualifying session is getting really, really close at the moment because the top 27 drivers, called out the top 26, rounded out by Jason Robillard, rounded out by just a second, and has pretty much set the same lap time as Marcus Konitska, who is battling away for the silver crown alongside Mr. Alex Stevens, who is currently P7 at the moment, but Ryan Borg is currently leading the silver way at the moment, currently 6th overall on a 150.129. But Mark Healy, as you rightly said, Ewan, has come back with a vengeance here at Silverstone, and the best lap time from the number 59 at the moment is a 149.872 as we head into the final 3 minutes of this qualifying session here at Silverstone.
Yep, there is not long remaining in this session at all, and that's going to be especially pertinent for Jackson Rihanna at the moment. The Summit Sim Sports driver who's, as you say, down in 9th place at the moment. Just in the early part of another lap. He's just finished an out lap, so he should get 2 more in before the end of the day. But he's got no slipstream to help him at the moment, and that is going to be a big thing here at Silverstone, the slipstreaming effect. Of course, we probably should mention, I don't know if I have said so far, but Mark Healy is in a pretty good situation, even despite last week and the week before with these championship standings. He only needs to finish in the top 7, and that doesn't sound like it would be too difficult. But after all, there's over 35 drivers here today. Normally, everybody who attends gets points because the top 35 only get points, but that's not necessarily true this time around. There will be some missing out down the bottom, and you cannot drop this final round of the season. You've got to take it on as a full points scoring round. So that definitely means that the pressure is on here, and that top 7 for Mark Healy might feel like a very long way away at times. But if Rihanna's finishing down in 9th place, then it will be much easier to get the required amount of points. For Mark Healy, he would not even need a top 30. So that is just showing you how important it is for Rihanna to get such a good result here from today.
Yeah, and then we also very shortly will be talking about the fuel and strategy for this 60-minute endurance race, where they'll be on a starting cap of 18 litres of fuel, and that's set up enforced. And then there's a possibility of, if there is a safety car being deployed, then there could be the opportunity to do a one-stop strategy round here at Silverstone, but that is not going to be easy. We ride on board with Jackson Rihanna, who is down in 10th now on a best effort of a 150.187. We're coming to the final 50 seconds of this qualifying session at the moment, and Rihanna has put in his personal best in the opening sector. He's now making his way down the Hanger Straight and into Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcote. As all things stand, so he's got to really put the pedal to the metal here, pardon the pun, but coming through out of Luffield, now going through into Woodcote, he's got to get very, very close to that wall on the right-hand side of the circuit just to maximise his entry point onto the National Pit Straight, and then heading into the fearsome fast right-hander here at Copse.
Yep, Copse Corner, absolutely massive sort of corner looming over this track, if you like. So much drama down the years. So Rihanna now comes into Maggots and Beckett's, a very famous section in its own right as well, this S's section through the middle part of the lap. Now onto the back straight on the way towards that final part of the lap. Rihanna very close to Mark Healy's best time actually through the second sector as well, by the way. So maybe it doesn't look so impressive at the moment, but it certainly will do when in a moment, but no, he doesn't continue on with it. So the sectors afterwards clearly have not gone quite as well, and that is unfortunate for Jackson Rihanna. He comes into pit lane. He will start 11th. He's pushed even further down. It's not the best start, but there is an hour-long race here, but and that it will save him a little bit. But Mark Hilly on pole, Rihanna down in 11th. That's not a great start for the driver trying to overhaul those 47 points.
No, and also looking at Silver, Alex Stevens will start 8th on the road. Marcus Kunitska, his nearest challenger. And then you've also got to factor in Tristan McLaren. They are starting 26th and 27th, respectively. Kunitska just coming through the final throws. He's actually improved all the way through sectors 2 through to 4 at the moment. So we could be looking at an improvement at the moment. So Kunitska's still got time. He's going to be coming across the line very, very shortly, going through Club and into Vale, and then through onto the Hamilton Straight. So can Kunitska improve? It's from 26th. Does that put him up the order? It does, and bolts him all the way up to 15.
Yeah, that is a very timely lap time there for Kunitska, because as you say, he's Alex Stevens' closest challenger, and he needs effectively a win here. He needs to be overall right up towards the front. It's mathematically still alive, but it would have to be a big, big shock here this afternoon if he were to take that title away from Alex Stevens, who's qualified in 8th place so far. Stevens, by the way, only needs 26th or better to already have enough points to win the title. So it is looking very, very good indeed for him. But as I say, no drop rounds here at this final round, and so you've got to be absolutely on top of your game. And yeah, otherwise you could be in a bit of trouble losing that late lead that those two gold and silver class leaders do have. Darren Fahey and Nathan Verney will be the last drivers over the line. Verney setting a lap time. He's the 36th driver to set a time. It's one of the best attendances we've had this season here at Silverstone. There are the track conditions you can see on the right-hand side. Just 23 degrees Celsius down on the surface because it's only 9:30 in the morning in late August. It's very, very cool temperatures, and that will be a relief to the drivers. And in fact, it just clouds over as well a little bit in time for the race. So that is very notable. Meantime, Mark Hilly is going to take the pole then ahead of Dylan De Bono, with Phil Vella, who's back again for first time in a while, ahead of Danny Davison. Ethan Morrison, Craig Edwards then on row 3, ahead of Ryan Borg and Alex Stevens, here with the first all-silver row on row 4. Scott Bartine will be giving up his reigning champion status tonight with a 9th place start, ahead of Brody McConkey 10th. Jackson Rihanna, much work to do from 11th, ahead of Thomas Hittins, who's in 12th place, and combined over the Super Formula Lights and F4 Championships, he's going to be right up there. He's doing well in both. Tom Donahue and Daniel Byrne round out row 7, ahead of Marcus Kunitsa and Dan Fahey. Then it's Douglas Gowans and Damien Kearns, with Angus Milne and Miguel Teixeira then on row 10. But Jason Madden, Nick Bottrell are on row 11, ahead of Aidan Coote and Harrison Dusky, who will have to start from the pit lane. It would be 25th for Jay Dixon, ahead of Jake Robillard. Tristan McLaren's got a lot of work to do to win the title from 27th, ahead of Adrian Loretti. Dave Roberts and Will Ryan round out the top 30. Ryan, one of those drivers who can get 2nd or 3rd tonight in the championship for Chris Swadling next, ahead of Matt Tesorio. It's Todd Parks and Daniel Ackland, the final of the gold drivers, 34th. Stuart Thompson's 35th, ahead of Nathan Verney, who rounds out the field among the pace car drivers, hopefully who will be not crashing tonight. Looking at Jimmy Peacock, because he, of course, crashed at Bathurst when he was trying to pull away from the field. You weren't there, Alex, but it was great entertainment anyway. It was for us. So anyway, I'll pull onto the grid in a moment, and an hour-long race will get set. You know, we've not actually had a race this long this year in the Formula Drivers League Super Formula Lights Championship, the Player One Sim Gear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated as it is this season. But you know, since we've been starting this 2-stop races sort of more regularly, Alex, throughout this season, you know, it's not too much of a change from the normal feature races that we see.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that the drivers are going to have to contend with regards to fuel and strategy. Now, these are the key points that we're going to look at here. 18 litres is what the drivers can start with. There's a fuel cap on the refuel window, which is a maximum of 59% capacity, which is just over 27 litres, and the total fuel required has been estimated at 54 litres total. Now, the estimated pit strategy, you could be looking at probably lap 1 to 10 for stop 1, stop 2, lap 20 to 26. But if there's a safety car, that may be the need for the drivers to extend that first stint for a couple of extra laps just to make that one stop achievable. But that is, as I said, going to be a tall order, because this is a very, very fast average speed circuit, so you're basically on the throttle for more than 60% of every lap.
Absolutely. It's all to go into the calculations for the final hour of racing. Player One Sim Gear's Super Formula Lights Championship will end here with 1 hour at Silverstone. We're underway for the final time this season. It's not a great start from Rihanna, who's already had to pull to the inside at turn number 1 and avoid getting overtaken, but has done in towards the fast sweeping first couple of corners in these cars. Hilly already under pressure for the race lead down in towards turn 3. That's De Bono and Vella, who are flanking him either side, trying to get past, but Hilly holds on. It's a dream start for him as Jackson Rihanna is buried in the pack down in 11th.
Oh, there's a spinner in the middle. They have luckily avoided him. It nearly ended up like Sebastian Vettel back in Brazil a few years ago whilst battling for the Formula One title. They're 3 wide. Oh my goodness me, down the Wellington Straight going into Brooklands for the first time. They're still 3 abreast here. And this is a 60-minute endurance race, and they're running it like a 15-minute sprint here, Ewan.
Well, we have had some of those this season as well, but the philosophy is the same, whether it is one of those 15-minute sprints or it's this longest race, the 1 hour finale, 60-minute finale here at the end of the day. And look at that in the background. These 3 guys at the front are getting away very quickly because the battle behind is very fierce. Ryan Borg is leading the silver class, and it's Jackson Rihanna involved in some of this as well, by the way. He's up 2 so far. He's got past Scott Bartine and Brodie McConkey, who are both queuing up right behind him. And McConkey's going to try and come through here. He's got a better exit out of Maggots and Beckett's, and he's got the draft, as has Rihanna. They're pretty much nose to tail here on the way, absolutely wheel to wheel on the way towards Stowe Corner. Edwards and Morris side by side just in front as well. Rihanna on the outside loses another place here. Bartine will be alongside the reigning champion, giving up his number 1 on his car at the end of tonight. Down in towards the chicane. Rihanna's going to try and win those places back, but no, it's McConkey making up a place. So forward 2 steps, back 1. Rihanna ends the first lap in 10th with his main rival Mark Hilly racing away in the front.
Well, that just goes to show how important that pole position was for Mark Hilly as we see the battle. That's Alex Stevens getting through on Danny Davison, and the battle for the silver class lead between Ryan Borg and Alex Stevens, now about 9/10 of a second between the pair. As again, Rihanna, he's got Edwards to the outside and around him at the moment, and Jackson Rihanna is having to fight with his elbows well and truly sharpened. It's going to be 3 wide as Daniel Byrne slots in between the middle of them, but Jackson Rihanna's got the inside line. Edwards high, wide, and round the outside he goes. Great stuff into Brooklands.
A very nice overtake indeed from Edwards. Daniel Byrne is going to get through as well. It's a good start from him as he's up 4 already as he makes his way into the top 10 now. Meantime, Phil Feller and Mark Hilly are going to go side by side for the lead. It's all on at the moment. Rihanna on the outside. What's he going to do here through Copse? That's really close as Vella comes back again on the exit of Copse Corner. Mark Hilly loses the position. He's now back down to 2nd, but while all that's going on for Rihanna, he won't really mind. 2nd place is more than enough for him at the moment.
Yeah, he's just got to cross the T's, dot the I's, get the car home in one piece. And even though we've had frantic activity for the first opening 3.5 minutes of this race, look at the peloton of these Super Formula Lights making their way down the circuit here at Silverstone at full speed, going through into Stowe Corner, then into Club, then into Vale, and then onto the Hamilton Straight. So Phil Vella's going to be our 2nd different leader after as many laps, and he pulls to the wall on the inside to break the toe for Mark Hilly, who's got Dylan De Bono closing in. Ryan Borg isn't too far away from the race leader now. He's 2.3 seconds off of them as we see this battle here between the likes of Morris, McConkey and Davidson. And they are going to go 3 wide. It's going to be a dive to the inside. They nearly make contact.
No.
It's around.
Oh, it was always going to happen. The domino effect as they were 3 wide into turn 3. And Morris goes into a spin. Further in the background, the cars scatter in the background. They all try and avoid Martijn and Hinz now side by side with Darren Farley trying to make it 3 wide as well. He's not learnt from what he's seen just in front of him. He wants to make it 3 wide anyway, but doesn't quite in towards Brooklyn. Stevens gets overtaken by McConkey and Davison as well down the Wellington straight that time for 5th place. Brodie McConkey's made a very good start to this race. He started 10th and actually lost a couple of places initially off of the start, but has made all those back again, and some is now up to 5th. And if Davison and Stevens start to battle behind, he'll be even further in front, but not for the moment. He's leading this big group around that stretches all the way down to the lower part of the top 20.
Yeah, after that contact, Ethan Morris unfortunately has dropped all the way down to 19th, about 0.3 of a second ahead of the number 7 silver entry of Douglas Gowans. And this is how close the field is from 1st to 34th, folks. After the opening nearly 3 laps, the whole field separated by about 20 seconds, except for Chris Swadling and Adrian Loretti, who have ended up in the pit lane, but they're back on circuit 2 laps as there's a slowdown penalty for David Cairns. But there's a big moment. Scott Bartine is tumbled down the order, and Jackson Rihana is in the pit lane.
Yeah, so Bartine has had some sort of problem, but Rihanna has seen this all going on in front and said, well, what's the point of me being sat here and losing time in traffic? Let's try and do something different. And he's going to, I presume, come in to take as much fuel as possible. As you mentioned at the start of the day, the fuel cap means that you can only get 27 litres in at a time. Because we started with only 18 laps, it's about 1.8 litres a lap. Only done 3 laps. That's about, he's got 13 on board. He'll be able to put 14 in right now. But you probably need to put about 36 in at the start of the day. So from the start of the day. So that does narrow his final pit window up a little bit. But, you know, it's the right call from Rihanna. He's got to do something to get out of this traffic.
Yeah, I think just really try and keep himself out of harm's way, because he was getting swamped from every single direction, from front to rear to left to right. It didn't really matter for Jackson Rihana, but he just thought, okay, right, let's do something different. Let's think outside the box. And that has allowed the likes of Brodie McConkey's leading a little bit of a peloton, as he's got the likes of Danny Davidson, Alex Stevens, Craig Edwards. And that is the battle over 5th position. Brodie McConkey up 5 spots. Biggest mover so far is Miguel Costa Teixeira, down in 13th position. The number 63 silver entry rounded out the top 20 on the starting grid. We've also had the likes of Dave Roberts up 9 places. Jake Robillard up 5, Tristan McLaren up 8 from 27th on the grid. So there's still a lot of skin in the game for this race here, Ewan, as Craig Edwards has also decided to duck in early to the pit lane as well. Jay Dixon has done the same in 22nd in the silver class in the 402. So there are going to be a lot of drivers that might be thinking, okay, right, we've had our fun for the first 5 minutes, first 5 laps or so. Let's just get out of the way from all this harm and all this potential damage and lack of points we might not be able to score.
And we're seeing, a pattern that is bound to repeat itself, that once one driver came into the pit lane, they were all going to, some of them were going to respond quite quickly. Now Edwards and Dixon are in, although they've not stopped for quite as long as Rihanna did. It's not really what Jackson Rihanna wanted, to be honest. He would have wanted to run in clean air for a while, and he still will just about, as Edwards gets out far enough in front of him. For 12th place, Teixeira, you mentioning, has made up loads of places so far in this race. Started 20th, is now 12th. That's another place ahead of Angus Milne. Morris is here as well as Tom Donoghue as well, who is in 15th position. This is sort of that remaining group, if you like, as some of those from the front group start to pit in. The gaps start to emerge. They race away, and these guys are left to fight over the places. There's a safety car. Now then, safety car, top part of the road. And I wonder whether he is involved in the cause of this, but let's just keep an eye on this at the front of the field. Who is going to decide to come into pit lane? We had 2 safety cars last week, of course, at Bathurst, and that really decided the race in some senses. Ella and Hilly will continue on at full pelt here. They will surely come into pit lane as well. I would have thought everyone will be in here. So this could cost some of the others some time, likes of Rihanna and Edwards or not, but it gained Rihanna some places last week, as pretty much this exact situation happened to almost the lap. Into the pit lane everybody comes, apart from Morris, who decides to go on. If he's going to try and save all the fuel, then fair play to him, but I'm not sure how easy that's going to be to manage. He's the only driver to stay out so far as a really, really busy pit lane here. Vella's got a black flag next to his name. I wonder whether he's sped under safety car into the pit lane. That would be absolutely soul-destroying if it is, and Hilly will easily take the lead if indeed Vella is able to stay there for a while, and he will do. Vella will stay there, and he's going to drop an awful long way down this field as Hilly gets out in second. Where's Rihanna? Is he going to be a long way down here? Craig Edwards is only just making his way up the order now. Jackson Rihanna is as well. He's going to be losing a few places here as Rihanna. He's going to be 13th position, I think, and he will stay there. Well, he loses a few places, and Hilly gains one. He will be leading when Ethan Morris decides to pit later.
Well, 25 plus cars, pretty much. At least 85% of the field just went, right, safety car, let's pit. It was just like the seas has parted and Moses had led the crowd through. It was just one of those sights that you rarely see, but it now gives Mark Hilly, after that disaster for Phil Vella, who is all the way down in, get this, 33rd position, and he is going to be absolutely kicking himself after that mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, it's not like there was pressure on him to brake late for the pit entry either. You know, we're under safety car after all, and so it's pretty inexcusable really, as you can see the pit lane times overall generally trending a little bit actually downwards. Quite a long stop for Hilly and De Bono out front, but it didn't matter because they came in with such a lead. What I think is clear is that everybody will have taken on the maximum amount of fuel there, so that they all have those 27 litres on board now, and they'll just take them maybe as far as they can, or at least to the window, and we'll see where they and there's the stationary time, see where they actually decide to make that final pit stop, because this is a longer race than normal, and so it's a bit of an entry into the unknown. We've never had an hour-long race in this series before, so it's a bit of an unknown. But again, the fact that they've had two stops in races all season means that it's more similar than it otherwise might be to those normal feature races at 45 minutes long.
Yeah, I think it's that they've got to gauge this right, and one of the things that we found out, of course, we're now 12 minutes into this 60-minute endurance race. So effectively, they've got to measure it right. They've got to just keep an eye on one figure, and that is not the speedometer, that is not the rev counter, that is the fuel used litres per lap. That is going to be incredibly crucial. So the slipstream here can gain you a lot of time, but also means that you are not at full throttle at places like, say, the Hamilton Straight, down here, down the Hanger Straight heading into Stowe Corner, down the Wellington Straight coming out of Aintree, going to Brooklands. You know, there is so much of this circuit, which measures, just over 3.6 miles, is going to be the case of, I think they're doing a couple of wave rounds at the moment as we speak. So a couple of the drivers that were a little bit further back have been waved by, but it's more the case of, as I said, you are at full throttle very much a lot around the circuit. And it's going to be the case of how can you gauge that, because we could see late pit stops, and that depends on how long this safety car is out for. If it's out for 2 to 3 laps, there is a possibility that someone might be able to do a one-stop strategy. But with the safety car hitting as early as it did, Ewan, we're going to need another safety car for someone to be able to make that one-stop work.
I think Morris might be trying that exact strategy as well. I wonder whether we can go back and have a look at some replays to try and find out what happened to bring out this safety car here today. I know Aidan Coote has just returned back to pit lane after towing not so long ago, and he's got a meatball, so I wonder whether he was involved. And as I said at the time, Todd Parks was off track when the safety car was called, so I wonder whether he might have been involved as well in that crash. But that's the first meatball of the day, unfortunately for Aidan Coote. He was the driver actually who spun out of turn 4 on lap 1 as well, by the way, so clearly not a good start for him.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, he was backwards, and we nearly had the Sebastian Vettel Interlagos moment, as I've rightly mentioned. But he was very, very lucky to get away with it. So yeah, whether there's been contact coming out of the pit lane following after. I mean, it's only his first stop, but Ethan Morris, I think he's hoping on a wing and a prayer at the moment to really catapult himself up the order. But judging by how things will be, I mean, Mark Hilly is in the prime position to, if he gets the jump on Morris on the restart, then Morris will probably, I would hazard a guess on this, to just let him go through. Just let him go through and go, okay, right, I know Mark's battling for the championship. I don't want to get in his way, but at the same point, you can't blame Morris for wanting to actually battle Hilly on the same terms. But the thing is, Morris will have more speed in that car because he hasn't refueled yet. But how long are those 18 litres going to last? That's the big question that we need answering from the number 12.
Yeah, absolutely. It's minimum of 10 laps required in this first stint of the race. But don't forget, first of all, those 10 laps will take longer because we've been on the safety car for a while, and also that he might be able to do 11 or 12 because of these couple of safety car laps. So we'll keep an eye on him. Also, like the reference to that Interlagos moment, which you said a few years ago, but I'll remind you, it's 13 years ago. As scary as that sounds.
I know. I knew it was. I didn't want to say how many years ago it was, but I definitely remember watching that race at home with my dad, and we were both having kittens when it happened. But yeah, it's one of those moments that kind of plays in the mind when something like that happens on an iRacing Super Formula Lights League. When one car's backwards the other way and the others scatter around, and you're just like hoping no one's going to hit each other.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I remember exactly where I was watching that race as well. I'm sure everyone who watched it does. It was quite extraordinary. But anyway, no such championship drama of that kind anyway so far tonight. It's been an excellent start for Mark Hilly, who, if anything, is helped by longer safety cars. It's taken some of the time out of this race. Some of the time for danger it's taken away, although it has grouped the field up a lot more than it previously was. So we'll wait and see as Jimmy Peacock gets into the pit lane successfully this time without crashing. Well done to him. He's been practicing in the week, driving that Porsche 911 RSR, clearly, as he pulls into pit lane now. And Morris is effectively in control of the field. He can go any time from now if he wants to. Generally, you want to sort of leave it quite late when you're the leader in the Super Formula Lights. Otherwise, you give a big slipstream to the rest of the field for such a long time, especially if you go early on the hanger straight like that. It just invites pressure onto you. Of course, you can't actually make any passes before the start-finish line itself, but let's see if they leave it late again here, Morris. So he comes into the final chicane now. Again, he wants to take as much time out of this race as well because he wants to save fuel. So I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves this right up until the line, at which point, of course, everybody knows when you're going to go. And that does. Now he goes. He leaves it quite late, but he does want to spring a bit of a surprise on Mark Hilly and the rest of the field as well. He could have left it right the way to the line right there, but again, it would have allowed everybody to know exactly when he would have gone because he can't leave it after the start-finish line. At which point, green flag would wave and he would just be passed. So he's got to go at some point. And now it's a spin. Bro, it's Ryan Borg from the lead in the silver class. And they scatter to avoid him. McConkey just has to do it there. And look at them all. They're unsighted here on the way towards turn 3. Someone's going to hit him if they're not careful. They've got to be wary there of that car sat in the middle of the road. Oh, and they all just about avoid. Goodness me. Ryan Borg from the lead in the silver class goes into a big spin through turn 2.
And that drops him right down to the tail end of the field. A real shame there for the number 51. And that promotes Alex Stevens to where he needs to be. But keep your eyes on Marcus Kunitzka. Kunitzka now is currently running P10. He's got Craig Edwards, Daniel Byrne and Thomas Hinds in front of him. So, and now Edwards and Byrne are starting to battle. Dylan DeBono's got through on Mark Hilly for P2. Overall, as they head down towards Maggars, Beckett's and Chapel. So the game is still afoot. There's still pages in this chapter of this championship story being written here, Ewan. And more to the point, Jackson Rehana has moved that back past Marcus Kunitzka. The gaps are literally minimal, apart from the fact when you go to Thomas Hinds, who is now 2 seconds behind silver leader Alex Stevens. And there's more drama. Jason Madden has gone round. Damien Cairns has gone round. Oh, it's all happening again. And it's 3 wide with Knitska in the middle, going into Stoke corner. And they just about make it through.
Yeah, that's Teixeira right round the outside there and getting up into 11th place. That was a very good job indeed from him as he worked his way past. There's been so many moves from him so far, and he's now behind Jackson Rihanna. As you say, though, that gap between Hinds and Stevens is the real sticking point now for Jackson Rihanna, because he is just seconds behind Hilly, really, through not much fault of his own. And Dylan De Bono goes through here into second place. Oh, the spin! McConkey spins from the front group now. This is what creates these breaks in the group, and you can see it again. Hinds and Edwards are now out of this group for second place because of that spin in front of them. I wonder whether that initial gap there that now Jackson Rihanna's actually at the head of, wonder whether that was created by Ryan Borg's spin earlier. These incidents generally do create those little gaps that are starting to become a big problem for the likes of Rihanna's trying to come through the field.
Yeah, McConkey's also just picked up a slowdown penalty for his troubles as well, so that's going to add insult to injury for the number 23, who's currently running P19 ahead of Harrison Dusky in the number 33, who's rounding out the top 20. But Ethan Morris has gotten. I did say that having that lighter fuel load on board is going to help the number 12, and he's nearly 1.4 seconds ahead of Dylan De Bono, with Mark Hilly still chasing down the 111 for that second place. Danny Davison is a further 3 and a bit tenths of a second behind. There you see Mark Hilly using the slipstream here, down the hanger straight in towards Stoke corner. He's up past and gotten through, or they've even hit the apex, and Danny Davidson doing a really, really good job in 4th position. He's now going to swarm all over the back wing of Dylan De Bono as they go into Vale and now into Club Corner, as Darren Fahey gets a slowdown penalty as well. So the game is afoot here. We're nearly at 25 minutes completed of this 1 hour feature race to decide this season for FDL Super Formula Lights. It has been a cracker so far as Knitska gets through on Fahey, who had no choice but had to serve that slowdown. Has got to serve that slowdown penalty. He has done. So Knitska now closing in on Miguel Teixeira for 10th place, more importantly, 2nd position in the silver class. Teixeira's moved up 10 spots. Dave Roberts in the 44, hold the phone for him. 14 places gained as he started on the inside of row number 15.
Yeah, very good. And we always see in these races that you get these drivers who have come through a lot of the field, and that's certainly the case so far tonight, as it always is. And as you say, only 22 and a half minutes the way through, and that means we'd normally be halfway through the race, but just shows you just those extra 15 minutes making this race feel a lot longer, a lot more opportunity for things to go wrong, if you want to look at it like that, or things to go right, if you want to be positive about it. Mark Hilly currently having things go right for him, but if this race were even just 23 minutes long, that would suit him just fine, because he's exactly where he needs to be at the moment in that 2nd place, even though Jackson Rihanna is coming through the field and putting up a decent fight here. Doesn't matter if Jackson Rihanna even wins. If Mark Hilly's in that 2nd place, then he'll be absolutely fine. Rihanna's got to do the chasing here and get into that front group somehow with Mark Hilly involved in it. First, though, he's got to get involved in the next group, which is headed by Alex Stevens, still the silver class leader in 5th.
Yeah, that is going to be a big gap to close on in, especially if you've got no assistance from the drivers in front, providing that well-needed slipstream put things together, as Mark Hilly currently still in 2nd position, but still the battle carrying on between him and Dylan De Bono and Danny Davison. And if they keep on fighting, that's going to allow Alex Stevens to actually close on in. He's about 1.7 seconds behind Davison at the moment for 4th overall on the road. But the battle for 2nd in silver is between Teixeira, Knitska and Darren Fahey, who rounds out the top 4 in the class. That's 10th, 11th and 12th, as Teixeira is going to have to fight here a little bit, and that is going to be a possible move round the outside of Teixeira. He's going to be very, very careful got to keep an eye on what's happening. He's got a car to his inside. That's Daniel Byrne, and they're wheel to wheel down the National Pit Straight into Copse Corner. Teixeira trying to hang on. He's back in the slipstream again. He's pulling to the right-hand side of the number 808 as they go through into Maggots. Now into Beckett's, and then they're going to have to slow it down slightly here for Chapel Curve, and then get the acceleration down the Hanger Straight. But Miguel Teixeira is going to have another bite at the cherry here for 9th overall.
Surely into... Oh, no, he is going to go for it. Well, I thought he'd stay behind just on the way towards Stowe because it's such a fast right-hander, but it is one of those places you want to make a move in these cars. He's now on the outside on the way towards that final chicane where Byrne hold... Oh, he's broken too late, though. Way too late. And Teixeira is going to say thanks very much for that. It's too late on the brakes, and so he goes straight through into 9th position. Further behind, Dusky and McConkey are dropping down the field. Now, let's see what happened to them. Harrison Dusky started from the pit lane, don't forget, so he's made up quite a lot of places of his own, but he's seen a lot of them come unstuck here. Oh, no! Way too late on the brakes from McConkey, and Dusky gets caught up in his accident.
Yeah, I mean, trying to send it when it goes 3 wide like that into Baylan Club is a very, very difficult one. There's a 10-second penalty for car number 64, Tristan McLaren. Insufficient overlap. That's been decided by race control, so Tristan McLaren's going to get a 10-second penalty. And there's also one here for, I think that's car 51, Ryan Borg. That's going to be a post-race review, as they need to look into that a little bit further as to what happened when he decided to, well, when he ended up spinning around. So race control doing their due diligence and trying to, they've had a lot of incidents to process so far, Ewan, so a big credit to the race control team behind the scenes.
There has been a few in this first half of the race, and that's always the way with any race. Good to have the live stewarding though of this league as always. So these drivers now work their way down the Hanger Straight again. Stevens and Edwards side by side now. This is Craig Edwards trying to get into the top 5 as Ethan Morris comes into the pit lane after 12 laps. That's very positive news for him, and I reckon he might be able to make it now on the rest of the race. Well, let's wait and see. Maybe I'll jump too soon on that one, but yeah, he's certainly done 12 laps for the early part of the race. That's very good news indeed for him, and Healy will take the lead, but Davison will give chase. He gets ahead of Dylan De Bono. The fact that Mark Healy, though, has got a second's advantage over the rest of the field is very good news for him.
Yeah, he just needs to maintain that position, cross every T, dot every I, and not put a foot wrong, really. A little bit further back, we've got the battle between Teixeira and Byrne. It's ding-ding round 2 between these two as they go through into the loop now into Aintree, and then it's flat on the floor going down the Wellington Straight, heading into Brooklands. Stevens goes back up tries to keep with Edwards. Edwards dives up the inside of Brooklands, now into Lovefield. Before they power out of this corner and then head through into Woodcote. They're going to try and get as very close to the wall as they can on the right-hand side without exceeding track limits. And there you see Stevens taking a very, very tight line, sweeping to the outside down the National Pit Straight in towards Copse Corner, trying to put the frighteners on Edwards. Edwards keeps a tight and tidy line through that corner as they head through into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel once again, as we ride on board with Alex Stevens in the number 95, the man who's got one hand on that silver crown here in the FDL Super Formula Lights Championship at this point. And still, Marcus Knitska, his nearest competitor, currently still rounds out the top 10 behind Miguel Teixeira, as Daniel Byrne is still battling away with the number 63 for 9th overall, and they're swapping places like it's musical chairs for 9th.
Yeah, they are. It's and it's all happening here into the final chicane. Well, late defending for Byrne as Teixeira went from the right to the left and had another look down the inside again as well. Oh, he's going to run a little bit wide in the background, and Tom Donahue will rather stay in front for 12th. And then Tristan McLaren's the one going to be making the place. Faye, oh, he's got a meatball. Darren Faye's got a meatball flag. Well, how has he picked up that? I'm not entirely sure, but he's going to drop a long way down now. and he's off the circuit out the way, trying to stay out of everybody's way, and he's out of this group, but this group, despite that, is still growing in size. The battle for 8th is massive, and Kunitska's looking down the inside here. Oh my word, this is going to be Teixeira trying to box him in alongside Byrne, and he is going to get boxed in. Look at this, he can't go anywhere now. Finally, he's got a bit of a gap down the inside, but no, he's not going to be able to get through. Kunitska on the way into Brooklands. Oh, Teixeira had the place, he went really wide, far too wide. Now there's contact. Kunitska goes into a half spin through Luffield.
And a 5-second time penalty going to the number 40. And that's Todd Parks for racing rules. So 5-second penalty will be added post-race. But yeah, Darren Fahey getting that meatball flag. But yeah, drama there for Marcus Kunitska. Slices amount of contact. And that has put paid to his challenge at the Silver Crown as we hit half-time. And it's still everyone for themselves with 30 minutes to go here at Silverstone. This has become a bit of a classic, this one, with this 1 hour endurance finale for the feature here at Silverstone, Ewan. There's been so much to talk about in the first 30 minutes, and I'm sure that the next 30 minutes might go very, very quickly, depending on how much action we have, as Teixeira again goes off the track. Tom Donoghue gets through in the number 94. So Teixeira hyphening places, and he gets the slowdown penalty as well. So Teixeira, there's contact. That's Dave Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts, and Phil Vella was the one who ran into him afterwards as well. Dave Roberts collected there, and he's got to be careful. These guys coming through, Bottrell and Loretti, they both survive as Brody McConkey comes into the pit lane. Not sure to avoid all that specifically, but that's an added bonus. Dear me, that was through the final chicane again. It's that group again, which has just dispersed as a result of that latest incident. Meanwhile, Hinds and Stevens battle away. Alex Stevens having a lot of fun, I think, tonight. He knows, as you say, he's got, I'd say more than one hand on the trophy. He's got one hand and 4 fingertips. Just that final thumb, he's waiting to lift the trophy a little bit later on. I'm sure he will do. But while he's at it, battling with the gold drivers, who he might even be racing next season. Let's see.
Yeah, and also there might be a bit of a development in silver, because Tristan McLaren now finds himself currently 12th, and he is 3 places ahead of Marcus Kunitska, which could be very, very close. I mean, judging by the information that we've got, is that the finishing position is, like the finishing position, it could be that Kunitska might lose out by a single solitary point if Tristan McLaren stays where he is right now.
Well, it's 64 has a 10-second time penalty as a reminder to us. 64 is Tristan McLaren.
Yeah.
And so that's more of a reminder, really, to talk about the second-placed battle in the championship between Kunitska and McLaren, because that is more likely to be a much closer fight. At the start of the day, they were only 8 points apart, but we are going to have to remember that McLaren is going to drop 10 seconds further behind where he is at the moment. So it's not over for Marcus Kunitska by any means, even if he is behind at the moment. And if the positions were froze as they are, I think he would lose the place as it is right now. But that 10-second time penalty brings it back towards him. And it makes groups like this even more annoying for McLaren. He wants to be free of these. He needs to get his race time as quick down as quick as possible, and try and distance as many people as possible by 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the splits between drivers at the moment, between McLaren and Kunitska, it's about a 2-second window that Tristan McLaren has got, but he needs to make it 5 times as big than that by the checkered flag. Well, more than 5 times as big by the checkered, and that is, as you rightly said, because of the fact that they're being compacted into these groups of battling drivers that try and get away, and no matter what you do, you've got someone breathing down the back of your rear wing, or you've got someone by your side going into a corner or down a straightaway, and there's nowhere to hide in this league, and it's all about just making the best of the opportunity that presents itself in front of you. As you've got Tom Donoghue being closed in by Mikel Teixeira, Douglas Gowans, who's now ahead of Tristan McLaren, which now only puts it to be 1 3/4 second gap between McLaren and Kunitska. That is not going to be enough, as we see Milne and Byrne go side by side, and Milne goes through. That's for 8th place on the road. Angus Milne started 19th on the grid and now currently runs P8.
Scott Bartine comes into the pit lane for the final time as a reigning champion here this season. It's not been his season, unfortunately. Won the title earlier this year with just 1 point to spare. In the end, he's had a decent end to the season, actually, with a couple of good runs. 4th place last week, a top 10 the week before, 2 top 10s in the sprint race before that, 2 weeks earlier, Detroit. But unfortunately, he has had a very, very difficult season indeed. So we look back at Tristan McLaren's rear wing and Douglas Gowans, Tom Donoghue and Teixeira just further up in front of us here in this group. 35 minutes gone in this race. The pit window, by the way, for that final stop of the day was expected to be opened at lap 20, but I would bring that down by at least a couple of laps because of the safety car to lap 18, which means it was only around the corner. And I'm going to presume as well, to be honest, that the guys who have already come in have calculated that they can make it to the end from here on this tank of fuel of the 25 minutes or so. But we'll see whether they're right or not, but I reckon they can probably make it. So we're very much in that window now where the final stops are bound to be made, although for these leaders, especially for this top 7 who are broken away and are more or less together, they're not going to pit in the near future because that will only end them in a lot of traffic in the next few moments.
I'm going to be interested to see how Ethan Morris's strategy runs, because let's not forget he started P5. He's currently 23rd, about 38.8 seconds, as McConkey has just received a 10-second time penalty, as Danny Davison has now pitted on lap 17, what will be more than likely his final stop of the race. So, yeah, Brody McConkey, he's been in the pits for now well over nearly 3.5 minutes. So that's going to add insult to injury for him. But we are starting to see some other drivers come in. Phil Vella has pitted as well. Dylan De Bono trying to close in on Mark Hilly, who's got a nearly 3.5 second advantage, as we see Ryan Borg briefly in shot along with Jason Madden. Here's Douglas Gowans, Full Throttle Racing entry. He's up 6 spots and he's a little bit further back from Miguel Teixeira, but then he's got McLaren right by him, who's actually got a nose ahead, heading into Brooklands and then into Luffield, and McLaren's not wanting to waste time and hang around. He's trying to get through on Gowans for that position, and he spins it. Oh dear, and Gowans has got nowhere to go. Oh dear, that was too early on the loud pedal, I think, from Tristan McLaren, and Douglas Gowans had nowhere to go. He was straight in the because McLaren was straight in his path and couldn't go left or right, had no time to react either way.
Well, that is a real shame. Out of Luffield and McLaren is only going to drop further later on as that penalty is applied and that spin really starts to take its toll. Jackson Rihanna, meanwhile, is having a very good run back through the field again, up 8 places so far, which is the most of anyone inside the top 6, as expected, I suppose. And now he's onto the podium, but the big problem is Mark Hilly out front. He's leading by nearly 4 seconds at the moment, is Hilly. And even if Rihanna chases him down, and that would be some ask with 22 minutes to go, even if he chases him down and overtakes him before the checker flag here, Hilly only still needs a top 7. And that 7th place, although there are pit stops affecting this at the moment, 8th place, which is where he'd have to fall to, is now over 15 seconds behind where he is at the moment, leading this race.
Yeah, with the time counting down rather quickly, it is going to be a case of how much can Jackson Rihanna push in this last phase of the race, because they've still got that second pit stop to go. When you look at it, you know, Ethan Morris pitting on lap 12, Mark Hilly, Dylan De Bono, Jackson Rihanna pitted on lap 3, Craig Edwards on lap 4, and the majority of the drivers in the top 9 pitted on lap 5. So Rihanna's got to really time this well to see what he can do and try and see if he can upset the apple cart. But Mark Hilly will be keeping a keen eye. He'll be watching the deltas. He'll be watching where Jackson Rihanna is to go, right, okay, what do I need to do? I just need to be, you know, at that point where I know that the championship is secure. No matter if Jackson Rihanna wins this thing, I've got to be P7 or higher by the checkered flag as Rihanna now pits here on lap number 19. So 12 laps completed. Jackson Rihanna pits from what would have been third place on the road.
Yeah, don't forget, he's slightly got his hands tied by that slightly earlier stop first time round, although most people have, because they only pitted a lap later, of course. It seemed like an early stop at the time, Rihanna, but it's actually pretty similar to the rest of the field, most of which is streaming through at the moment. Still waiting for the top 7 to come in. Also, Dixon, Will Ryan, Adrian Loretti, sorry, not Loretti, Jason Madden's not been in for a second time yet, neither's Nathan Verning, Nick Bottrell, Metros Rio. Ethan Morris hasn't been in for a second time either, but we're not expecting him to be in for a second time. Stuart Thompson also hasn't been in for a second time yet. The best, though, of those 2 stoppers is at the moment Danny Davison, who's ahead of Adrian Loretti, who came in for a second time on lap 4, by the way, which is very early. He will have to come in again, I would imagine. Rihanna then is behind them, and further behind Ethan Morris. So he must have lost a lot of time in traffic, Morris, and of course he'll be fuel saving a little bit as well. So the race lead that he came in with is not going to be the one that he comes out with once all this pit stopping takes place.
No, it is going to be, as I said, like really interesting, because that fuel is going down in the number 12, and he's going to dive to the inside of Matt Tesoriero and gets through. Matt has done a really good job in this race so far. He's made up 15 places. Nathan Verney has made up 24 spots on the grid. So now running 14th overall, more importantly 5th in the silver class, which is now currently being led by Jay Dixon. Will Ryan is about 3.7 seconds behind him in 9th overall. And then Adrian Loretti, as you rightly said, came in quite early for his second pit stop on lap 4. So it's about a case of how far, you know, rolling the dice, how far do you want to push that fuel window over the course of the race distances. That was a bit of a wide line coming out of Copse Corner there by Tristan McLaren.
Was a bit. Not sure what he was doing out there, but either way, he's defending from Ryan Borg at the moment. His 2 drivers, oh dear, and he's off again there, is McLaren. He's going to be overtaken by Borg, you'd imagine, on the way towards Stowe Corner. These are both drivers, of course, who've been delayed, along with Phil Veller, actually, who's been delayed this afternoon as well. All 3 of these having their trials and tribulations throughout the afternoon. Throughout the inside goes Ryan Borg, and up into 24th ahead of Tristan McLaren. And then Phil Veller. McLaren has another look down the inside. He's not going to make that work on the way through there. So they stay as they are just for the moment. Nick Bottrell into the pit lane at the moment as well. Adrian Loretti back on his way out again. Danny Davison down the inside through a Will Ryan. It's all happening at the moment. Davison still the best placed of those who have stopped twice, but still waiting for Mark Hilly to make that final stop of the day. The second pit stop window is well and truly open now, and so surely it's going to be soon. Again, they pitted on lap 5. This is a long time ago, so they've got to be in soon. Mark Hilly has a brief drop out there. Let's hope the championship isn't settled like that, for goodness sake. That would be terrible news for Mark Hilly, who's driven pretty much perfectly so far this afternoon. 4.5 seconds in front of Dylan De Bono. And Craig Edwards, who rounds out the top 3. De Bono into the pit lane now, and so is most of the drivers. Well, certainly Edwards is. Hilly carries on, though. It can't be long until he makes his final stop.
I'll probably say another lap or 2, Ewan, to be completely honest with you. The pit stop window is between lap 20 and 26, but as you said, it's come through, so I'd probably say if he can eke it out, maybe to lap 23, maybe 24 if he's lucky, but he's got no slipstream in front of him to capitalise on. So yeah, it'll just depend on how, you know, if he wants to come in on fumes and then brim it with maybe a couple of laps worth of additional, just in case. You just want to have that buffer especially when you're getting deep into the race itself, is you've got the likes of Dusky and Robbie are now battling away. We've got Morris and Tesseriro also battling away. Verney's gone in, Tesseriro's gone in, Dixon's gone in, Ryan's gone in. So we're seeing a lot of pit stops now starting to happen as we're getting to the dying stages. We are just off the cusp of going into the final quarter of this race as Danny Davison and Dylan De Bono still battling away over what is effectively 6th on the road. But at the moment, well, they've both pitted for their second respective laps. Danny Davison pitted on lap 17, Dylan De Bono on lap 21. De Bono might have been able to, we didn't put as much, we put in a little bit more fuel than Danny Davison, so Davison running a little bit lighter on the fuel tank. But as Mark Hilly from the race lead now pits for what will be his final trip down the pit lane this season.
Absolutely, as it will be for the rest of the drivers, it looks like as well. It looks like you're right that this is sort of the limit now almost. Thomas Hinds has followed anyway, and so has Angus Milne, Daniel Byrne. Tom Donoghue surely is going to follow through as well, and there he comes from 5th. So pretty much everybody's been in now, other than Ethan Morris for a second time. And that is to be expected because we think that Morris is going for that fuel-saving strategy. As, Scott Bartine has gotten a 5-second time penalty for bumping. His pretty miserable season continues, unfortunately. As Hilly comes out of the pit lane, he's slowed down in time for the pit entry. No speeding in the pit entry, which is exactly what he needed. Nothing going wrong on that occasion. And out he comes again into the lead. Rihanna still down in 6th place at the moment. So it's looking ever more desperate now for Jackson Rihanna, who is chasing Mark Hilly down in this championship. As Ryan Borg and Tristan McLaren continue their battle from earlier on, which is still going.
Yeah, they've also, race control have also decided that with regards to car number 5, Darren Fahey, no further action taken. So they may have just seen it as a racing incident. Tristan McLaren again going on the offensive. This time it's going to be into turn 1 at Abbey, now into Village and Farm. And hard on the brakes goes Tristan McLaren. Ryan Borg round the outside into the loop. Just about to keep it. But there's been drama. Alex Stevens. What on earth has happened to the silver class leader? Because Alex Stevens has now found himself all the way down in 30th position. Oh, he's had a problem.
It's a technical. This looks like a technical. Because there's nothing wrong with that car at the moment. It doesn't look like anyway. It doesn't look like to me. He comes back onto the circuit briefly. But yeah, he's got issues here. And this, by the way, I can tell you is not been fixed by a fast repair. Of course, it sounds like a technical issue. So nearly 6 minutes down in pit lane. He is back out on the circuit again, but he's running down in 30th place. Now, you'd think that would be a concern for the silver class leader, but that would still mean he ends the season on 352 points. It still means that Tristan McLaren can't win the championship, even if he wins the race overall, which he isn't going to, of course, making 20 places in just 12 minutes. It brings it a little bit closer to Konietzko, I suppose, but he still needs 13 places as well. He does need to win, at which stage he would actually win the championship, but he would need to win the race overall. And this is why we said at the start of the day, it's mathematically possible for Alex Stevens to lose this, but even a near 6 minute pit stop hasn't stopped him.
Yeah, I think it's more the case, even with Konietzko finishing 14th, that'll still put him on 288 points. So yeah, Alex Stevens just needs to bring that car home. Just don't have any dramas at this point, and a DNF could be quite nasty for him as well in that respect, because if he finished in 36th position, or if he finished down the order, further down the order, it's not going to be that disconcerting. But even if he's classified 35th, he still picks up a point. So Dylan De Bono's got Craig Edwards right up his rear diffuser, going through into Copse Corner. That was very, very close between the pair. And if that was any closer, if Craig Edwards had not hit his braking marker or lifted off the throttle in time, then I'm sure that Dylan De Bono would have been spinning around, going through into Copse Corner and possibly ending up into the barriers as they battle tooth and nail over 3rd overall.
Absolutely. This is Craig Edwards' crowning moment, really, for third place in the Drivers' Championship. He's probably not going to be caught from this situation. Dusker's the only one who's really close to him. If he finishes fourth, nobody other than Dusker can finish in third in the championship. But as you can see, Hassan Dusker is nowhere to be seen at the front of the field at the moment. He is in pit lane again for a fourth time this afternoon and is pretty much giving up hope now of finishing in that top 3. He is going to be in the top 13. Just try and work out who is going to be in the top 13 by the end of the season. It's going to be very close with Giuliano Sinesi not here today. He's going to probably drop out, and I believe he is watching, so good evening to him. But he's going to drop out of the top 13 for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals next month, which is not ideal for him. Is it going to be Scott Bartine maybe who gets that place? Bartine is 10th, although he'll lose a few of those places. He'll probably be down to 13th by the time his penalty's applied. So that's something to have a look into anyway. But we'll get back to that in a moment, because Edwards looks to the outside of De Bono. And again, these two are two of those drivers who theoretically can finish third in the championship here this season. But Edwards would need to finish a very, very long way down the field for that to become a rally for De Bono. It's only going to be a battle for the final podium place of the season, it looks like. As Ethan Morris continues to go slowly, he is fuel saving a lot now. Well, he's got still 10 minutes to go as Morris, and it's looking pretty grim at the moment for him, as Dylan De Bono and Craig Edwards battle away again for third here. Edwards looking to come down the inside. It will have to be... No, he'll have to wait. I wonder whether he's worked out a stage in the circuit where he can reliably make the overtake here, and he's just saying, well, I'm not going to make the move before then, so might as well just wait around here and try and come past De Bono when possible, i.e. maybe on the last lap, maybe.
Yeah, I think probably one of the best opportunities will be coming down the hanger straight out of Maggotts Becketts and Chapel. That's where you can get a really, really good, nice bit of a toe down that part of the circuit. But then also, you know, the Wellington Straight, you know, the National Pit Straight are also perfect opportunities for trying to time an overtake. But you don't see many people try for an overtake, whether it be around the outside or around the inside at Copse Corner, but Stowe, you're more likely to see that kind of interaction happen.
We've seen so many moves through there so far this afternoon. And there's another look from Edwards. I wonder whether he's just trying to lull De Bono into thinking he might make the move at any time. Well, meanwhile, he's not going to do that. We'll wait and see whether he is playing those kind of mind games or whether it's a bit more simple than that. Jackson Rihanna's in the group behind for 5th place alongside Thomas Hinds, who also is another one of those drivers who'll be... Oh no, Edwards isn't going to wait, so here we go. Outside line for Copse Corner it will be. No, he's going to back out. Maybe I'll go back to my mind games. But yeah, it's Rihanna and Hinds further behind. Again, Hinds is too far away really at the start of the day, with Edwards running so well to take third. But he is going to take 4th at the moment, is Thomas Hinds from Harrison Dusky. And if you've been following the Formula 4 Championship and the Formula Drivers League, you'll know that Thomas Hinds is also running in 4th place in that series as well. Got a chance of taking 3rd, like he has here on the final day of the season on Thursday. But combined across the 2 championships, Thomas Hinds has got one of the best running records throughout season 3 of 2025. So yeah, he's going rather well. And at the moment, looking to get past Jackson Rihanna as well, who's running inside the top 5. Not enough as it stands, with Mark Killy leading this race.
Yeah, and he's got a comfortable lead over Danny Davison of 5 seconds. So, yeah, it's looking rather cosy for Mark Killy. As you said, when we had that rain-deluged race meeting at Fuji, as Douglas Gowan's now trying to go wheel to wheel with Will Ryan, and that is going to be very close indeed, going through club and now through out of the final corner onto the Hamilton Straight. So can Gowans get the run? Meantime, De Bono and Edwards side by side. This is going to be very close going into Brooklands and then into Luffield. Can Edwards time it well with the application of the power coming out of Luffield going through into Woodcote? They take the same kind of racing line through both those respective corners. They're very close to the wall. And here comes Edwards with a head of steam once again into Copse corner. But De Bono just able to place the car this time. Edwards did not back out of it as much as he did the last lap. So he's trying to tee something up into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Maybe to get the run down into Stowe corner very, very shortly off of the Hanger straight, Ewan. So Dylan De Bono is having to fight tooth and nail as we enter into around about the last 5 minutes of this race. And Edwards is going to have a head of steam going down into Stowe corner. Gap is less than a tenth. And now Edwards to the outside. Is he going to get the crisscross here on De Bono? Not quite.
Another look maybe at the final chicane. No. See, I'm not sure he would actually find it this difficult to get past with so much slipstream about at this circuit, and whether he is just trying to play the mind games, but maybe I'm thinking too deeply into it. 5 minutes to go, and that should mean 3 laps to go for Mark Hilly, the current leader. The leader of the championship as well, of course, coming into this round. And of course, you may not know if you've not seen all of the Le Mans Team Gear Super Formula Lights Championship finales from seasons gone past. We've never had a championship leader go into the final round actually win the championship. It's both been overturned on both occasions so far. Danny Davison lost the title last season on the final day of the first season, the final day of the season, and Phil Vella lost the title last season by just a single point after not only going into the final race with the championship lead, but also did about 99% of the race with the championship lead and then lost it on literally the run to the line at Daytona. It's a remarkable end to that championship campaign last season where Scott Bartine was able to take the title. And Scott Bartine is going to try and finish ahead of these three, and if they fight like this over the race win in the silver class, he will do. 3.8 seconds the current gap, but with 3 laps to go and a silver class win to fight for, you'd imagine Dixon and Texeira are going to be really giving each other a right go for this one.
Yeah, definitely looks to be the case here as Dixon trying to put the brightness on Teixeira in this latter stage. Look how close Teixeira got to the wall coming out of Woodcote, but Dixon to the inside on the run down the National Pit Straight, and through they go and they make contact, and Teixeira's off, exits stage left at high speed.
Oh my word, and he very nearly went up onto his roof as well there. Very nearly got rolled over completely into Copse corner. That might well settle it, and Teixeira unsurprisingly has got a meatball from that one. Wow, that is one way to settle the race. Let's see it again. Teixeira looked inside. Dixon looked inside, I should say, and there's a bit of netcode there, isn't there? As Teixeira spins wildly off into the side of the circuit. He's able to pick himself out of the barrier, and with less than 5 minutes to go, it's very unlikely there'll be a safety car anyway. But Teixeira there has seen his race-winning chances go up in smoke there spectacularly.
Yeah, also I noticed that the right rear wheel was looking rather forlorn off the back axle, Ewan, so damage picked up on the right rear following that contact. As still we've got Edwards and De Bono so close going into Brooklands once again. Edwards still trying to find a way past, and Dylan De Bono is literally flinging the defensive playbook right in the front wing of Edwards. Edwards can't find a way past, and it says here that as per 8.14, no safety cars will be deployed during the final 10 minutes of the session. But
it's just reference to what I was saying earlier. This is the contact. Yeah, I'm amazed they've both got away without damage there, by the way. But yeah, just in reference to what I was saying earlier on, even if that was the biggest crash in the world, there would be no safety car. I didn't actually know we had an official ruling on it, actually. I just thought it was an unwritten, unspoken thing. But there you go. Yeah. We do have a proper rule about it now. As there is Tom Donahue, one of the guys behind the scenes who does a great job running this league and has done for another season here, of course, as De Bono runs around the outside of Edwards again. Oh, Davison's made a miscalculation and he's into pit lane with a lap to go. He thought this race was just going to be 29 laps. It turns out we're going to 30, and Davison pits in. I wonder how many people have made that mistake. As these two now come through, they'll battle for second on the last lap of the season.
Oh my goodness me, it comes down to this moment, and Craig Edwards is swarming all over the back of Dylan De Bono like a rash, going through into Abbey, now into Farm, now into Village. This is going to be absolutely crucial. how Edwards places that car. And now look who they've got behind. Jackson Rihana makes it 3 a crowd in the battle for P2 on the last lap of the season here at Silverstone. Incredible stuff, because look, Phil Vella, Douglas Gowans, they've also misjudged it.
It's the safety car, isn't it? Everyone would have known how many laps this race was likely to be if it was all on the green, but it's the safety car that just throws everything a little bit up into the air. Some people have knocked one more lap off than they should have done from their calculations when the safety car came out, and it wasn't particularly close, I've got to say. There was a minute or two spare there, and they've made a miscalculation there badly. So 15 seconds to go. Hilly's not going to get to the line in time to start another lap, so this will be the last one of the season, and Edwards is still trying this. Dylan Debono in second, defending for all he's worth. Rihanna's too far behind, and it's too late for him to get involved here unless they take each other off. 1 hour officially elapses here in the finale of the Player One SimGear Super Formula Lights Championship here at Silverstone. It is time for the battle for second place to sort itself out. Craig Edwards will look into Stowe corner. He won't quite manage. Oh, will he? It's contact. They're both off. Oh, it's a spectacular crash. Dylan Debono flies through the air. Craig Edwards into the gravel as well. And meanwhile, out front, Mark Hilly's going to come across the line. He will be the champion of the Player One SimGear Super Formula Lights Championship, supported by Everything Simulated. He wins it in the end, poetically just in front of Jackson Rihanna. 1 and 2 in the championship, are 1 and 2 in this race after that dramatic last lap crash between Craig Edwards and Dylan Debono. Debono's still going here. He's somehow landed on his wheels again, and he might even finish in the top 10, although maybe not actually. Ethan Morris carries on. He will end the race. Oh, running out of fuel it looks like. Jay Dixon goes round him. He will win the silver class with a top 10 on the final day as well. What a race of drama, and drama to finish the day as well. Dylan Debono and Craig Edwards with a huge crash through Stowe corner.
Oh my goodness. Let's have a look at this again. So Edwards pulls to the left-hand side, Debono to the inside, and Edwards, he's turning too hard as Edwards, and that sets off the chain reaction with Dylan Debono going all over the place. And the left front wheel actually was askew from, that car really can't steer anywhere at the moment, to be completely honest. But more to the point, that just goes to show from the helicam here, you can see it's just like it's millimeters between them, and it's the slightest touch. It's Edwards that instigates it. He turns in, clips the left rear of Debono. Debono then goes over the nose of Edwards, and straight away, well, what can you say about that? Dramatic drama at the beginning, drama at the end, and you know what? I think even with the fact that Mark Hilly has won that, I think still that Alex Stevens will become our silver champion for season 3.
Yep. It should be Stevens has actually got up to 30th place actually in the end with a couple of other retirements, but with the silver class drivers finishing far enough down, Stevens will win the silver class as well, as we would have expected. But what a final lap that was to the season. Much drama at the end, and Mark Hilly becomes the first driver to hold a championship lead through the final race of the season as well, as he wins this race by 10.5 seconds. Let's have a look at the race results here from Silverstone after the final race of our season. It's Mark Hilly who wins it. 10 seconds, as I say. Jackson Rihanna second. 1 and 2 in this race. We're 1 and 2 in this championship as well. Thomas Inns rounds out the top 3, with Craig Edwards limping over the line in 4th, just ahead of Angus Milne. Daniel Byrne finishes 6th ahead of Scott Bartine, who will have to go back to his regular number now after finishing 7th, finishing his reigning championship season. Might have got into the top 13 for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals, though. Tom Donahue and Danny Davison, who pitted on the last lap, finished 9th. Ahead of Jay Dixon, our silver class winner, ahead of the fuel-saving Ethan Morris, who probably should have stopped twice in the end. Marcus Konitska finished in 12th ahead of Ryan Borg, who'd recovered to 13th after his spin on the safety car restart. Will Ryan and Adrian Loretti round out the top 15, ahead of Dave Roberts, Jason Madden, Tristan McLaren, who were within a minute of the victory. A penalty to serve, and he will fall behind Jason Madden and Dave Roberts. Phil Vella finishes 24th. left. Oh no, he doesn't. Not according to that. Anyway, I'll read what's on the screen. The time is different, but it always is. Nathan Verney for 21st, according to this, ahead of De Bono, Botro and Stuart Thompson, who was the last one on the lead lap. Douglas Gowans, Daniel Lackland, Jake Robillard, Harrison Dusky were all 1 lap down. Migo Teixeira 2 down after his crash at Copse, of course, late on, as we saw. Alex Stevens was the last driver to finish. He was 30th, ahead of Chris Swadling, Brodie McConkey, Darren Fahey, Damien Kearns and Todd Parks, the points finishers. I believe, anyway, they've done enough laps to get points. And Eden Coote, who doesn't score any points despite starting this race. Not many times that happens here this season. But there you go. There you find the race results of the season, nevertheless. We don't have Mark Hilly yet waiting for us, so we'll jump straight to second place. Our driver, Jackson Rihanna, who finished second in this race and the championship as well. Jackson, welcome in. Good to have you with us. And commiserations on this championship season. It's not to be in the end. The gap just under 60 points between yourself and Mark Hilly, despite these final few weeks where you have given it a real go. Just tell us how you're feeling at the end of the race tonight.
Yeah, good evening again, guys. Look, first of all, take nothing away from Mark. He drove a phenomenal season and made very, very little mistakes where, I had a bit of a shocking start to the season and handicapped myself a little bit too much just to claw back the margin in the end there. So, look, proud of the fight back, proud that we at least made it sort of interesting in the end there. But yeah, either way, it was good fun. And once again, congratulations to Mark Hilly and Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport. They really deserve that championship.
Talk to us a little bit about this race individually, putting that aside for a moment. He's qualified outside the top 10 this time around and had a lot of work to do, but you seem to have good race pace. Just tell us about how you managed to fight your way through the field and in the end gain 9 places to come second.
Yeah, look, it's definitely one thing we're going to need to work on coming into the next season. Like, I know personally the pace is there for me. I just can't really, or just haven't really been able to put the lap together during qualifying and execute. So, definitely going to need to work on just, I guess, getting a good quali run plan together and just really getting the execution right. So, I smash the lap out that I know I can do. I know, like, we did it in round 1, like we could put it on the front row, but yeah, just really haven't been able to do much in quali since. So definitely something to work on for next season. But yeah, no, we at least we know what we need to do, I guess, to improve our chances of getting some race wins and getting some more points on the board.
Well, thanks for coming to chat to us as always, Jackson. Congratulations on finishing in second here tonight, and again, we'll hopefully see you next season.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for broadcasting the league, and also huge thanks to my teammates at Summit Sim Sport, Michael Brennan and John Simpson. They've been with me all season, along for the ride as well, and helping me with strategy and calling the shots as the race goes on. So thanks to those guys, and also thanks to the organisers of FDL. This is an awesome series and can't wait to be back next season.
Thanks very much, Jackson Riada there. Second place here tonight and indeed this season in the Fairborn Simgears Super Formula Lights Championship. While we were chatting to him, his main rival this season, race winner tonight and champion for the season as well, Mark Hilly, came to join us, so we can chat to him now as well. Congratulations, Mark, on the title and winning tonight's race as well. You're the first, I don't know if you know this, you're the first driver in the history of this series to start the night with a championship lead on the final day and finish the day with a championship lead as well. So congratulations on holding on to that. Tell us about your night and sort of your thoughts and emotions on the way through as you took the victory.
Thanks. No, it was really, really fun. I enjoyed that race. Opening, it was a little uncertain as to how it would play out in the first couple laps, but I saw Rihanna pit early, which was going to be probably the go-to strat if you got caught up in traffic. But no, it was fun. I just sort of managed the tires. I don't know. I felt like I was in that flow state. If anything, I just wish the race went a bit longer.
I said at one stage, I don't know if you wished it would be short enough for you to just, get out there with the championship and just be done with it. But no, you definitely seem to be in that rhythm out front. But it seems to have been, a rhythm that maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe got away from you in the last couple of weeks. We haven't chatted to you since Fuji or Bathurst in these last couple of weeks. But, momentum just going away from you at the wrong time. What has these last couple of weeks been like for you and sort of having to rebuild yourself before the final race of the season, of course, which had a lot more pressure on it than maybe you'd hoped a few weeks ago?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. There was more pressure than I wanted going into this round, but at the end of the day, you're just driving a car. That's all you really have to do. So Fuji, like when you really look at it, Fuji, I was taken out twice in the feature, and I felt pretty quick in the wet, so I was pretty disappointed. And then Bathurst, yeah, that was just an unforced error, so I was pretty mad at myself after that. But yeah, no point really getting worked up over that. Just got to go into the next round and pole and win.
That's exactly what happened. So congratulations on that. Your winning margin, I think, it'll be about 57 points at the end. Not that particularly matters. Congratulations, Mark, and thanks for chatting to us throughout the season as well.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks very much. Mark Healy, our champion this season in the Player One SimGear Super Formula Lights Championship, as I say, by about 57 points. Still, the last calculations are happening over Jackson Rihanna. In third place was Thomas Hinds, who we can chat to now as well. Thomas, congratulations on a podium here tonight from Silverstone, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the night as well. Let's jump straight to the end of the race, shall we? What was your sort of vision of what went on up in front of you there, and eventually realising that you'd come through and gotten a podium?
Yeah, no, thanks, Ewan. They went really well. I was just hoping tonight to, I had a feeling it was going to be a pretty big field being the last race of the season. So it has obviously been a pretty big field all season. So I was just like, if I can just, keep it clean, and do decent pace, nab a top 10, that'd be great. That should be decent points to hold on to maybe top 5, top 6 was kind of the aim in the championship. But yeah, ended up actually having really good pace, which is nice. At the end there was just, I didn't take tyres the whole time. I kept the same tyres on. And so I just I saw Jackson coming up behind and he looked like he had pace. So I let him go and thought I'd tag on his draft. And just sort of sat there and I figured, well, if I hold on to 5th or 6th, that'll be a really good result. So that'll be great. And I could see De Bono and Craig started getting to each other with about 5 to go. And I was like, all right, well, something might kick off here because they looked like they were getting pretty full on. So I just thought I'll just sit here and we'll just keep doing laps and see how we go. And and then they obviously had the incident and got a little bit of a George Russell style podium. I feel like just snuck in there out of nowhere as he tends to do. Just really just was all about keeping it clean mostly. I was just trying to stay out of trouble. Battle smart, battle where I needed to, but not go too crazy because then you just bleed time like I was watching some had happened to them behind me.
And it moves you, by the way, into 4th place in the championship. Not sure how much of a feature in your brain that is and how much that matters to you, but it means you're running 4th with still one round to go, of course, in the F4 series, but 4th in both series on a Tuesday and a Thursday. A good season overall, would you say? Is this sort of where you've been aiming to be, or would you have liked to have been maybe a little bit higher in both championships?
A top 3 is always good for the silverware, and just for top 3 is always nice. I did both of these, so jumped in very last minute. I missed the first round of this SFL season, so I'd already used my drop round there, so that made it a bit tricky. So I didn't really have a lot of room for errors. I think for SFL especially, I was just like, if I can just try and get a top 10 in the standings, that'd be sick. And as the season went on, I was sitting pretty nice and managed to be there at the end. I had a couple of errors over the season, the SFL in particular, that were a little bit dumb. Obviously, Detroit was the one I can primary jumps to mind. Should have had a podium there, but made the mistake and then made the mistake with the meatball that I didn't actually know about with that one, but now I know. Overall, happy with it. 4th and nearly on the podium is better than I expected, to be honest. So good to have a good run and have a good result in the championship.
Well, congratulations on that tonight and for the year as well, of course. And thanks for chatting to us at the end.
No worries, Ewan. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Thomas Hinds, who finishes third tonight and fourth overall in the championship, which I will run through, by the way, at the end of tonight, because it is just being calculated while we're doing these interviews. Jay Dixon is our silver class winner from tonight and a 10th place finish overall. Jay, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congratulations on the silver class victory tonight. It wasn't without its trials and tribulations, though, especially late on. Tell us about your battle with Miguel there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it was an interesting few laps. I think there was a little bit of an over defense a couple of times. There was a lot of 0x's coming up on my screen, wheel banging down the straight. But yeah, look, I put myself in the same position the lap earlier, I'm pretty sure, and I sort of backed out of it because going around the outside of someone into a corner like that's just asking for net code. So yeah, I think there was probably not quite enough space left there for safety, but yeah, is what it is.
It is, I suppose. Fourth place overall in the Silver Class Championship, but 3 top 10 overalls, which is quite a high number for a Silver Class driver. How have you sort of assessed this sort of season for yourself? Are you pleased with it? What's the general feeling at the end?
Yeah, pace was average, but consistency was pretty good. I had a couple of shocking races where I just got caught in accidents, and I missed a couple through work and other travel. So. Yeah, look, to finish where I have has been great. Pretty happy with the overall result. It's been nice to kind of race and have solid racing in the mid pack and be able to fight for something in that silver championship too. So it's I don't have the overall pace to fight for the wins, but it's definitely a different dynamic back in the mid pack, and it's good fun.
Well, congratulations on the silver class victory here tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end as well.
No worries, thanks guys.
Thanks so much. That's Jay Dixon, silver class winner here tonight. Unfortunately, we haven't got Alex Stevens with us. Sadly, he's the silver class winner, and I will just run through the briefly the top names from the championship, because as I say, it has been calculated roughly. Of course, there may be some small adjustments to be made after the race. But Mark Hilly is our champion. 59 points his eventual advantage over Jackson Rihanna. Craig Edwards did win that race for third, as I mentioned, as suspected at the time. Thomas Hinds moves ahead of Harrison Dusky for fourth. Danny Davison's late pit stop prevents him from getting a top 5. He finishes 6th in the season in the end. Tom Donoghue then next, and then a bit of a smaller gap back to Angus Milton and De Bono. Alex Stevens finishes 10th overall. He wins the silver class officially now, although his gap at the end will only be 58 points. Would you believe it? The silver class ends up closer than the gold class. He certainly wouldn't have predicted that at the start of the day. Between the top two in silver, Scott Bartine, who's the only mover into the top 13 and therefore the Australian Open Wheel Nationals next month. Dropping out is Giuliano Sinesi, who misses out by just 12 points. Daniel Byrne holds on to his place inside the top 13 and so stays there in the Australian Open Wheel Nationals. Unfortunately, Sinesi only scoring 11 points through the final 2 weeks and missing 3 races in the end has prevented him from finishing up towards the front despite having good pace when he was here. So that's a shame for him, but that's your top 13, all of whom will be making it to that event next month. Final thoughts, Alex? It's been a great season, I've got to say, and a good finale as well. Maybe not the title battles that we were hoping for, but a great race in isolation here at Silverstone to finish.
Yeah, definitely one that won't be forgotten for a very, very long time to end such a very, very close at times championship for FDL Super Formula Lights. And there was so many talking points. We had so much action within the first few moments of the race. We then had the safety car, which towards the end of the race caught a few people out, but I think the biggest talking point was Edwards versus De Bono battling over second position. Danny Davison had to come into fuel, for a splash and dash, but Mark Hilly and Alex Stevens, deserving season 3 champions, and looking forward to seeing what happens next time.
We absolutely will. Make sure you join us, of course, for all of the other events that are coming up very soon here in the Formula Drivers League. The Formula 4 Recruitment Series is available to join and indeed starts from the 2nd of September. That is a week today. And you can check that out, of course, over the off-season before the new Super Formula Light season begins in early October. and that will be running very, very similar to this one. I think I've been saying so far, haven't I, that the Australian Open Wheel Nationals doesn't have a date yet, but it does. It's next month. The top 13, who I read out earlier on, will be racing on September the 24th. So that is not a Tuesday, you will note. That is a Wednesday night to sort of meet in the middle for some of the leagues. That will be, just 4 weeks and 1 day away, when 13 of our drivers from FDL will compete against 26 drivers from 2 other leagues. But both league glory and individual glory as well. So that should be a good event to look forward to in the future as well. So make sure you get involved. There is plenty going on in the next month or two as new seasons get underway. But for now, this has been the Player One Sim Gears Super Formula Lights Championship for Season 3 of 2025. A big thanks to the title sponsors, Player One Sim Gear and Everything Simulated, alongside other sponsors, Capstone Marketing and Print Racer, for their support this season. Of course, a big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in across the season as well. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Alex Goldschmidt tonight with Jim Cunningham behind the cameras. Until we see you next season in the next Super Formula Lights Championship, it's goodbye for now.